Graduation day is meant to be a moment of celebration, a time when families gather together to cheer on the accomplishments of their loved ones. Yet for Asha, it was a day of quiet solitude. Instead of surrounded by family and friends, she sat alone on a stone bench behind the school, watching as others embraced their loved ones, smiling for photos, and making plans for joyful celebrations. The air was filled with the sounds of laughter and happiness, but she felt like an outsider in her own victory. Her graduation cap and gown were neatly folded beside her, the diploma resting untouched on her lap. Asha had worked so hard to get to this point, but in this moment, it felt hollow. She had no one waiting for her, no one to share the pride and excitement with. Her invitations had gone unanswered. No response from her parents, no acknowledgement from her siblings. The silence was deafening, and for a moment, she wondered if this achievement would always feel like a distant dream. Asha looked up, startled by the unexpected voice. Standing before her was Principal Sharma, still in his ceremonial robes, his presence strikingly calm against the chaos of the day. She had never imagined him as someone who would notice her, let alone seek her out. His usual stern demeanor had softened, revealing a side of him she'd never seen. "You know," he began softly, "I spent my own graduation day hiding behind the library. My parents were too busy fighting to even notice I was there." Asha blinked in surprise. "You?" Principal Sharma nodded, a faint smile on his face. "I get it. Sometimes we think we're alone in our struggles. But you're not. There are people here who've been rooting for you all along. I noticed your hard work. You've earned more than just your diploma. You've earned respect from all of us." Asha's chest tightened. It was hard to process. She had spent so much of her life feeling like an outsider, believing that no one could possibly understand her pain. But in this moment, she realized something. She wasn't as invisible as she thought. Principal Sharma took a seat beside her, his robe crinkling as he settled down. "You don't have to be surrounded by family to feel valued, Asha. Sometimes it's the people who quietly support you that matter most." The words sank in slowly. Asha's eyes welled with tears, not of sadness, but of a quiet relief. She wasn't alone. Maybe she didn't have the family or the celebration she imagined, but she had something just as important, people who had believed in her all along. I didn't expect this," Asha whispered, her voice trembling. "You don't have to," Principal Sharma said gently. "You've already earned this moment." Asha sat in silence, the weight of Principal Sharma's words settling into her heart. It was as if time had slowed, and for the first time in a long while, she felt seen, truly seen. His words were simple, but they held the kind of truth she had been searching for. She couldn't find the right words to say, but she knew she didn't need to. His presence alone was enough to bring a sense of peace she had longed for. "I know this day isn't perfect for you," Principal Sharma continued, his voice soft yet steady. "But what matters is that you've done something that many people wouldn't have been able to do." Asha didn't respond right away, only smiling faintly. His words weren't empty encouragement. They were genuine acknowledgement of her struggles and perseverance. She had faced so many obstacles in her life, and it felt good to know that someone truly understood. Principal Sharma stood up slowly, his robe rustling. "I don't want to make you uncomfortable," he said. "I just want you to know that you've always had support from those around you, whether you realized it or not." Asha looked at him, feeling the sincerity in his gaze. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for showing me that I'm not alone." With a nod, Principal Sharma walked away, leaving Asha sitting there, her heart a little lighter. She looked around the school grounds again, but this time, the emptiness didn't feel quite as heavy. She realized that, though she didn't have the family she had hoped for, she had something just as valuable, her own chosen family. The teachers, the staff, the people who quietly believed in her all along. And that, she realized, was more than enough. Asha sat there for a while, reflecting on the words that had just been shared with her. The school grounds were now quiet, the last few families trickling out, leaving behind only the faint sounds of distant laughter and conversation. She felt a strange peace settle within her, a feeling she hadn't allowed herself to experience in a long time. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the graduation cap she had tossed into the back seat of her car earlier. Holding it in her hands, she examined it as though it were a precious object, a symbol of her journey. She had earned this. She had fought for this moment. And though the day hadn't gone as she imagined, it still meant something. With a deep breath, Asha stood up, smoothing out the wrinkles in her gown. She glanced at the front doors of the school, where the staff and teachers were gathering for their own small reception. Her heart raced. The idea of joining them, of walking into that room full of faces she barely knew, felt daunting. But the thought of walking away again, of leaving this moment unfinished, felt even harder. Maybe I don't have to celebrate the way others do, she thought to herself, but I deserve to be there. Taking one last look at the empty school grounds, Asha walked toward the building, her steps slow but steady. She wasn't sure what the evening would hold, but she was ready to face it. Not as the lonely girl in the back of the parking lot, but as someone who had earned her place, who had quietly built her own support system, even if she hadn't always seen it. When she reached the door, she paused for a moment, gathering her courage, and then she walked in. As Asha stepped into the room, she was immediately greeted with smiles and warm nods. The atmosphere was relaxed, not at all what she had imagined, a stuffy, formal reception, but rather, it was filled with laughter and easy conversations. Teachers and staff were gathered around, sharing stories of their students, their own experiences, and their plans for the summer. Asha hesitated for a moment, unsure of where to go, but before she could turn back, Ms. Rao, her calculus teacher, spotted her from across the room. She broke into a smile and waved enthusiastically. "Asha, I knew you'd come!" Ms. Rao exclaimed, walking over to her. "You made it!" Asha smiled, the weight of her uncertainty lightening just a little. "I wasn't sure, but I decided to come." "You belong here," Ms. Rao said, placing a reassuring hand on Asha's shoulder. "You've worked hard, and you've earned this moment." Asha felt a lump form in her throat. She hadn't expected to feel so accepted, so seen. This room full of teachers and staff had, in their own ways, been the support she hadn't known she needed. They had quietly watched her struggle and quietly cheered her on. As the evening went on, Asha found herself laughing, talking to people she had never expected to connect with. They didn't judge her for being quiet, for not having a traditional family gathering, for not fitting the typical graduation mold. They simply accepted her for who she was, someone who had worked hard, who had persevered, and who was now a part of something bigger than herself. By the end of the evening, as Asha prepared to leave, she felt a sense of pride unlike anything she had experienced before. This wasn't the celebration she had imagined, but it was the one she needed. It was a celebration of resilience, of growth, and of finding family in unexpected places. As she stepped out into the cool night air, Asha looked up at the stars above and smiled. Maybe, just maybe, this was exactly the way it was meant to be. Create an image of the young South Asian woman, now a student in a college classroom, with a focused expression as she takes notes. The classroom is bright and filled with young students of different backgrounds. She is dressed in simple, comfortable clothing, her posture confident as she listens to the professor. Create an image of the young South Asian woman sitting in a library, surrounded by textbooks and notes, studying for an upcoming exam. The library is quiet and calm, and she appears focused, showing her dedication to her studies. Light streams through the windows, symbolizing her hard work and growing sense of self. Create an image of the young South Asian woman with her friend Sita, both sitting in a cafe, chatting and laughing together. The cafe is cozy with warm lighting. Asha feels more at home and supported by her friend, with a sense of belonging that she hadn't felt before. Create an image of the young South Asian woman and Sita sitting at a table in a cafe, sharing a dessert. They smile at each other, and Asha looks more relaxed and happy, feeling truly accepted in this new chapter of her life. Create an image of the young South Asian woman standing in front of a large window in her dorm room, looking out over the college campus. The view is filled with green trees and the bustling activity of the campus. Her posture is confident as she gazes out, symbolizing her growth and readiness for whatever lies ahead. Create an image of the young South Asian woman sitting in the front row of a college lecture hall, actively taking notes. The classroom is modern and well lit, with students engaged in the lesson. Asha is focused and confident, showing her dedication and readiness to succeed. Create an image of the young South Asian woman standing in front of Principal Sharma in a college hallway. He smiles warmly at her, telling her how proud he is of her progress. The atmosphere is one of respect and admiration, with Asha looking both surprised and honored by the compliment. Create an image of the young South Asian woman walking through the campus courtyard, the sun shining brightly around her. She walks with confidence, wearing a backpack and holding her books, her expression focused but calm, symbolizing her readiness to take on the next stage of her life. Create an image of the young South Asian woman reading an email on her phone about receiving a scholarship renewal. She sits at a cafe table, a soft smile crossing her face as she reads. The background shows a warm and inviting cafe with a sense of accomplishment in the air. Create an image of the young South Asian woman standing outside the college building, looking up at the sky. The light is warm, and the atmosphere around her is peaceful. She stands tall, holding her diploma, proud of how far she has come and ready for the future.